Jay here, welcome to Models Memories Weekly, episode 209. Models Memories is a show about nothing and is filmed in front of a live studio audience. This is a show where we're talking about painting, modeling, and wargaming experiences from the week. Now you might be thinking to yourself, Jay, you put out 3 videos a week. How? Could I possibly have more to say? Well, I do, and here goes. This week, Games Workshop came out with some brand new Necromunda minis that are pretty cool, I guess, but there's another mini that I actually have my eye on a little bit more, and there has been a weird amount of new bizarre merch for Warhammer 40,000. But first, the Necromunda guys. They're okay. I feel like Necromunda, with the heavy metal paint jobs, they either look unbelievably good, or they kind of look whatever. Like they use too many colors sometimes, and these guys are definitely an example of too many colors. We got some weird little bounty hunter kind of fella, and then we got a good old fashioned Votann. The Votann is great. I like his gigantic backpack. Both of these minis are actually really, really good, and I think would paint up really, really nicely if you painted them nothing like this. The Votann is super funny. I love his monstrous shotgun on his humongous backpack, his big, super bedazzled wrench, all of the different weird little things hanging off of him. Like he has 3 different like pressure sensors on his suit, even though clearly his suit isn't pressurized, or maybe it's pressurized from the neck down, the kind of unimportant parts to be pressurized. He's a lot of fun. I don't think this would look very good, but I almost want to do Rusty Votann. Like Votann are supposed to be miners from the galactic core by the black hole where only they can survive, and also the orcs, which is just a hilarious little tidbit that the Votann with a million years, well, not a million years, but many thousands upon thousands of years of AI-fueled evolution has let them be able to survive the crushing power of the black hole. But also orcs can also do it just fine, and they've been fighting the orcs for 10,000 years. The Votann are supposed to be a little bit more ramshackle, a little bit more scruffy looking, but the Votann that we get in 40K, and even the Necromunda ones, are pretty put together. They're looking slick. And I feel like if they were a little bit less slick, and I feel like the Necromunda guys kind of emphasize the less slickness, I feel like there'd be some real fun to be had with a lot of weathering. The other guy is just a classic ganger with a little pistol and a little axe that is like a saw blade, which would probably not make for the greatest weapon of all time, because clearly it's not a powered saw blade like some of the House Goliath guys get. Chain axes. I may or may not have bought some bits for some kit bashing that I want to do in the near future. And I remember looking at the online store and they had chain axes. And I talked myself out of the chain axes. And then immediately, that was the wrong move. I should not have talked myself out of the chain axes. I really want some chain axes now. Ooh, and I do like that robot arm. I like that robot arm dominates the figure. Like it takes a lot of work to have a functioning robot arm. Like I never believe in the Avengers Bucky's robot arm. It's just like glued on. It doesn't make any sense. Like even if it's screwed into the bones, I feel like that wouldn't really work. You would need an entire humongous chest harness to really facilitate a proper robot arm. These guys are fine. They're Necromunda hangers on. But one mini that I absolutely am gonna get for my Necromunda is Lotara, Angron's bus driver, the person who flies his ship. That mini is fantastic. Maybe not even with the head swap, maybe something a little bit to make her Escher, because the idea of Necromunda is you've got a gang that's like vying for power in the Underhives, and so it would make sense if you have a couple of people from the higher echelons of Necromunda society that do work with your gang a little bit. You know, they're building a little bit of power, a little bit of influence in the upper spires. And so this character is a little bit more put together, but I don't know, she's still got really, really weak looking ankles and a ridiculous weapon and a little bit more bedazzled than you would imagine a fleet officer to be. I feel like this mini would work really, really nicely. I'd probably use her as like a bounty hunter, but the lore would be that she is a ship captain that works with the Eschers, probably transporting drugs, probably drug precursor to Necromunda, and then getting some of the drugs off planet. It would make for a really, really spicy little bounty hunter style mini. But speaking of the weird and wacky world of Warhammer 40,000, if you've ever heard of Merchoid, that makes all of Games Workshop's kinda junk, weird branded products. And they have some claims to fame, like the candles that have very interesting smells. I'm pretty sure one of them is Tau Ethereal Pheromones, which is like the mind control system that they have. I'm sure there's one that's just like Orc Stink, which, like, the candles are hilarious, but overall they have been cranking out the weird stuff that they sell. And some of the new ones are hilarious. There is a Necron Hyperphase Sword bottle opener, which is dumb. I kind of want it a little bit, although it looks like kind of a bad bottle opener because the part, like you hook the scoop under the bottle cap and then you use leverage to pop it off. The point of leverage looks really sharp and it could like break the bottle cap. It's also just a Necron Hyperphase Sword that I'm sure is just made out of the cheapest zinc metal that it could, I see that blade or the handle of the blade snapping a little bit. It's a little bit hard to imagine this is an amazing bottle opener. The greatest bottle opener in the history of bottle openers was the Three Stooges bottle opener, which you crack it open and then it recites some dialogue from the show, from the old vaudeville sketches. That's the world's greatest bottle opener. This might be number 2, a Necron Hyperphase Sword bottle opener. I sometimes see people's point when they're like, Games Workshop is losing its grim dark, because when the infinite power of the Necrons, their ability to absolutely destroy like the universe on a fundamental atomic level, is used to make a branded bottle opener, it's just kind of weird and wacky and funny. Also, it's $19.99. That is expensive. I would love to know Games Workshop's cut versus Merchoid's cut, but $20. And speaking of $20, some of the newer products get really egregious. The Warhammer 40,000 Salamander's Purity Seal, available for pre-order. That's pretty darn cool. Not only is it a Purity Seal, but it is actually a chapter-specific Purity Seal. I could see this as something people would really get a kick out of. It seems to come with some nice features. It looks like it's got either like a Velcro, a magnet, or you can have the little pins so you can attach it to whatever you want. It is $42.99. That's so expensive for a little piece of resin and a little printed piece of cloth. That's bad. That's really bad. I feel like Purity Seals aren't the world's hardest thing to make, and $42.99. I could buy a box of Gretchen for that because Games Workshop prices are pretty darn high right now, but at least I would get Gretchen. This is just one little Purity Seal, and even if it was Black Templar, I feel like I wouldn't be all that excited or feel like I need to pick it up. The Salamanders, it is cool. It is a cool looking Purity Seal, and if this was like $15, I could see snagging it and sticking it on my Jakoshi miniature store transport case. It's made of foam, and so I've just been sticking pins into the side of it, and they haven't fallen off yet, and it's starting to look pretty darn dapper. And I have a couple of like homemade Purity Seals on there, and this would look really great, but not for $42.99. I don't care if it comes with peel and stick Velcro. That's not a selling point. That's not pumping up the features that would facilitate a $42.99 price tag. I think they should sell some Purity Seals that are cheap. I think cheap Purity Seals would move. It's always the question, like at the movie theater, why aren't the concessions cheap? I would get popcorn and candy and soda every single time if it was cheap, but it's so expensive. And does the expensive make more sense? Like a fewer number of people buy it at a much higher price than a lot of people buying it at a lower price? Like that makes some sense because then you're making more money with less product, so there's a little bit less upfront investment on your end for maybe the same outcome. I don't know. I would buy a $10 Purity Seal. I'm not gonna buy a $40 Purity Seal. But you know what's even more expensive than a single purity seal? The Warhammer 40,000 Omnis Domination Bell. It's a bell. I'm not sure if it has a ringer. It's pretty cool looking. It's $80. I don't get this product. I don't know what it's for. Like, is it a Christmas ornament to look pretty on your Christmas tree, on your grim dark themed Christmas tree? It's a bell. It's too big to hang off of your key ring. I don't think most people have bells. I had a bell that I got from the Goodwill that I hung on the door of my house so I could teach my dog to ring it when she wanted to go outside. And she learned that she just likes ringing the bell, and so she would do it all day, and so I had to get rid of the bell. This would have worked for that situation. I don't know if it would have worked $80 well. It is a neat looking bell. Like, if this was a terrain piece, I think it would look really, really good on the table. It's got little skulls on it. It's got the Omnisaya eye. It's got some fun runes going down the ringy part. Comes with a little jewelry chain. Like, it seems like a nice product. $80? I don't get it. I don't know who this bell is for. They made some other products that are a little bit like this. There was an umbrella, but at least an umbrella can keep you dry in the rain. A bell can ring a little bit, but other than that, I don't get this product. If anybody hasn't, I think you should check out the Warhammer page on Merchoid because there's a lot of really, really funny stuff. And I don't just want to rag on them because there is also another little product that is kind of great. The Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine Summer Shirt. This is fantastic. It's a really nice looking shirt. I like how stealthy it is. It's just got the little Imperial, I guess it's not the Imperialis. The symbol of the skull is the symbol of the Emperor. And so and I guess the laurel wreath is what makes it Imperially. But it's really nice, and a lot of people would not notice that this is a Warhammer 40,000 shirt, which makes it even funnier. Oh, and the model that they got to wear the shirt. I feel like I've played this guy in 40K before. It's just a really nice shirt. There's weirdly some really nice products on Merchoid. And some of the little keychains and stuff are fun. I have a little bolter that I used to have on my car keys, but it's actually a really heavy piece of metal, and so I ended up taking it off my car keys. But I still got it in my room. It's a nice little bolter keychain. There's something to it. I don't know. Let me know in the comments below. What do you guys think of the Games Workshop junk? Is it just kind of a neat, fun thing that exists? Is it a little bit watering down the brand? I don't know. I could easily go back and forth because it's super incredibly dumb. But also, I don't know. I feel like I would look a little bit good in the Space Marine Summer Shirt. And you know what would look really good in the Space Marine Summer Shirt? EonsOfBattle.com. EonsOfBattle.com is the best place to find our merch like the Nick and Jay dice, and is the best way to support us doing what we do with a membership. Each month, members get a credit that they can use on our new monthly terrain packs or any previous pack we have ever made. For the month of March, we are completing our The Fall Battlefield series with Battlefield Support, a set of terrain focused around filling in the war zone with all the infrastructure necessary for a proper battlefield. This set includes gothically bedazzled tank traps for protection, modular bridges for creating hills and ramps, blown out shell craters for infantry to take cover in, armored carrier buses for transporting weapons and ammunition to and from the front lines, and pallets of all the supplies a growing campaign needs. In addition to the STLs, we have a selection of these pieces available physically from EonsOfBattle.com, printed for you. This pack of terrain perfectly complements the fall buildings and the fall guns, and is the perfect way to add those finishing touches to make a battlefield look real. In other news this week, I don't know if you guys saw, but I finished my 2 Forge World Tantaluses, which means my Dark Eldar is completely done. Caveat, I have been list building and list tailoring to see exactly what list do I want to run for Adepticon, and for just moving forward with my Dark Eldar army. I might end up needing some more Dark Eldar. I think I've got about 2,500 points of Dark Eldar, but like that doesn't include how many more racks I want, or I probably need at least 2 or 3 more homunculuses so I can run full homunculus. I know that when the codex comes out for Dark Eldar, there's gonna be a rack detachment, and I need to be ready to run the rack detachment. I also need more Taloses and Chronoses because they are incredibly points efficient in the Dark Eldar index right now, and then I'm sure codex moving on. Games Workshop, when you do the Dark Eldar codex, don't change anything, just add to it. Because Dark Eldar, we don't have much. You already took the Tantaluses away from us. We don't have a lot going on. Just give us a few more things. Vet, the king of the Dark Eldar, would be really, really cool to have. There's not, just leave Dark Eldar alone or add to us, because I know when that codex comes out, it's all gonna come crashing down. All of the weirdness and the wackiness of Dark Eldar, our Court of the Archon, our Beastmaster packs, our grotesques, all of these things that haven't existed on the Games Workshop web store for years and years and years are probably gonna get squatted. But then what's left? What's left besides us being Eldar, but slightly pointier, slightly harder to put together, and way, way worse? But that's still a long ways off. I've got plenty of time left to play with my Dark Eldar, and the first real in-person game with my Dark Eldar is going to be next week at Adepticon. Me versus Scott, the miniature maniac, with our 2 Dark Eldar armies. It's gonna be a little bit of a mirror match. We have very different lists, but it's hard to get that far away from list building for Dark Eldar because we don't have that many units available. I'm gonna be bringing 2 Tantalus, and I think 2 Tantalus is actually going to be decently strong. Dark Eldar has a lot of really good anti-tank, so I'm gonna bet that at least one of my big boats is gonna survive the entire game. And the other one, the one that's probably full of racks, is gonna go out in a blaze of absolute glory. I hope I have the stratagems and the blood tokens to facilitate the absolute carnage that I wanna bring. Thanks for watching.